Hi, my name is Tiara Witherspoon, and I'm going to be talking about Nat Turner for my video research presentation. To start, Nat Turner was born in 1800. He started off his life as a lone slave, living on a plantation with only religion to get him through his day. He would eventually receive a sign from God himself, telling him that he must revolt against these plantation owners. His fight against slavery begins in 1831 in Southampton, Virginia, where it would soon turn out to be one of the bloodiest battles of rebellion in the United States history. In this video research presentation, I will be discussing how Nat Turner's rebellion was such a milestone in the fight for African American freedom. I will also talk about the intro for my topic, my reason for selecting the topic, 5 points from my research, and then how it affects me. So, Nat Turner's rebellion, the reason I chose this for my topic is because of how determined Turner was to rebel against his white suppressors. Though Turner's rebellion was bloody and as violent as it could get, I admire his fight towards freedom and his fellow slaves. Turner took the sign that he received from God himself as a sign that enough was enough and that things needed a change. Over the span of a couple of days, he slowly recruited up to about 50 people to help in his rebellion. The numbers of slaves people recruited slowly started to rise when slaves saw that there was an actual chance of change at hand. It was truly inspiring that it just started off as an idea and how he was able to convince people to help him with the cause. The rebellion showed the white suppressors that African Americans were capable of so much if they banded together. This event was the turning point for African American history and the fight for justice. In a peer-reviewed article titled Generation, Resistance, and Survival, the African American Children and the Southampton Rebellion of 1831, it goes into detail about the rebellion and how it came to be. It explains that Turner's rebellion alone was not what turned Southampton into a war zone, but it was little uprisings here and there that Turner rebellion became the one and only turning point for history. This journal talks about how Turner did not pick just any random people to start his rebellion. With him, he chose the strongest and the most willing men in the neighboring plantations. It goes into further detail about how, with the help of a few other enslaved men, Turner's first stop in the rebellion was the murdering of his own plantation owners and his family. Lastly, it talks about all the enslaved men and how they were hopping onto the rebellion train and going up against slave owners and killing any white person that stood in their way. And here are some facts that I got from my research. In an article by History.com, it talks about how Turner was a slave that was also an educated minister. When he was about 4, Turner was able to recollect things that happened in his past life. His family took these signs as he was a prophet and that all these things were intended for some great purpose. The young slave showed uncommon intelligence and was taught to read and write in the end. Another one was before becoming a leader to a small malicious army, Turner was a leader to a not-so-malicious army, a priest for the church. On the night of an eclipse, Turner took that as a sign from God himself that a rebellion was something that needed to be done, thus resulting in the killing of over 50 white plantation owners and other white suppressors. Another one was the rebellion may have killed up to about 75 people total, or the numbers aren't quite clear, but about 75 people were killed in this rebellion. And in the end, Turner was actually captured by a farmer that it had no idea that the rebellion was even going on in the first place. And in the end, there were about 50 slaves that were captured and sentenced to death, and some not even being involved in the rebellion were eventually hanged. In conclusion, Nat Turner taught us all that with the right fight and brain power, we can stand up and fight against our suppressors. It all started off with just an idea in his head, and it ended up with an uprising that took African American history by storm. Turner used his words and his actions of killing his slave owners to recruit help in his rebellion. Though the battle did not last too long, Turner saw it through to his dying days. Turner saw it through to his dying days, especially with all the stuff going on in the United States right now. It is truly inspiring to see how one man's idea turns into something that changed African American history forever. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great day.